So we're out in the yard with, you have Prize back there, Max right here. But we thought Max was the reactive one for the longest time, but once we started our exposure work, we found out that Prize is the one who's kind of reactive. So what Tracy's trying to do right now with Prize is put him in situations where he becomes reactive, because that's where we have to work. We have to work where the dog is uncomfortable, and then we have to teach them how to behave in order for them to integrate themselves into a community of dogs like this. So look, you don't want to just jump into a situation like this, because if your timing's not there, you don't understand motivation, you have some work cut out for you. So Tracy's been practicing this stuff that she's learning, the ABCs of dog training. Always be cool. Because once you start wigging out, man, that's when you start making all these mistakes. Like, you put yourself in these situations where your heart starts thumping, and then you're like cranking up on the leash and you're preparing yourself for the worst. Dude, you push way too far into your thresholds. Like, you can no longer make adequate decisions. You need to back up, get just to the point where you're uncomfortable, and you can still maintain your composure. Put yourself there, grind through it, then redo it, then redo it. Once you're comfortable there, you do the same thing. You do the same thing over and over and over again to help the dog set an aim in your life. That way they can ignore outside distractions. Sure, you'll get competing motivators and stuff, and that might interact with the incentive reward system, and you'll have a bit of a challenge, but punishment is super effective there, because we're not deferring punishment. Like, the dog is making a decision. The dog is making a decision, and the punishment is drawn out. So you've ignored it, you've ignored it, you've ignored it, and now your dragon's grown so large. Your dragon's grown so large that you can no longer handle it, and you're thinking about rehoming the dog, euthanizing the dog, and these other extreme options. If you'll just step up in the beginning, it doesn't matter how small your step is. Like, stepping up is what's required in rehabilitating you and the dogs. So the last thing I'll say about all this, when you get started, you're gonna experience a bit of negative emotion, because maybe you don't feel good enough, maybe you don't feel strong enough. Those things will come. They come with practice, and that's why we say, make it as simple as you possibly can. Conquer that, build some confidence, move on to the next thing. Yes, good boy. Because we don't want you to fail. And I don't mind that you come here and you're like, hey, well, I've dropped the ball in trainings. I'm like, you didn't drop the ball. You just haven't picked it up and ran completely with it yet. Yes. Good job. Good job. But you see, that's one of those situations I was talking about. Like, Piper come over here, she put her nose up against Max. It makes me nervous, because I know Max bites because Prize has the tattoos to prove it. But Max is not very reactive, or you can't read his facial expressions. So you have to allow yourself to go loose. Wait for the response to happen, because timing is important. If I punish the dog before the response that I'm looking for, then I'm doing myself a disservice. But if I punish the behavior I want to punish, then the behavior discontinues. Positive punishment, right?
Yes, good job, Jasmine. Hey guys, we're going to show you how to introduce your collar and your leash to your puppy. And so what you're going to need is a leash, a collar like this. I have a choke chain here, but you can also use a slip lead, and you're going to want a high value reward, and of course, your puppy. Yes, good girl. Okay, what's really important about this whole process is that you take it slow and you take it in steps at a time. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark and reward every time that she comes close to this new collar. Yes. So you notice there I marked when she looked at the collar. Yes. So big picture, what I'm marking every step is that I want to put the collar obviously around her neck, but I'm not going to force it on her, so we're going to take baby steps to get there. So you just wait it out. Super patient with your dog. Yes. So the goal is to get your dog even closer, step by step, to this collar, right? And so you may be wondering, well, how far should I push my dog in the first session? It kind of depends on how fast your dog progresses to the collar. So in our case here, yes. So right there, I don't know if you saw it, we can get a zoomed in shot, but she actually stuck her nose through the collar there. And so I'm paying that. Okay, so it's super important that you not get bogged down by how much time this may take you. It may take you a day, it may take you a week, it may take you a month. What's more important to focus on is the progression. So it's you and your dog progressing together, and you can only progress as far as your puppy will go. Yeah. So I'm gonna also show you how to lure your dog's nose through, through this collar. So you wanna put your hand on the other side. Notice, I don't know if you can get an up close shot of that, but see she's pushing her nose through the collar, see like that? And I'm paying it. So these are little baby steps, again, to the big picture step of putting the chain around your dog's neck.